worked in that field, I started to do a lot of residential work, as I mentioned, and my studies kind of took me to the new urbanist approach, which is kind of anti-suburban sprawl. A lot of the things you see now, we see a lot of residential projects that are just that are either empty or underutilized. And one of the things that I learned that some of the successful neighborhoods like Brooklyn, New York, and even Chicago is that there's a pedestrian aspect about neighborhoods that work. And the reason they work is because there's lots of different types of people that are rich and poor and professional and technical. They're all working very closely together, living closely together. If you ever go to a restaurant or a bar, when you notice that, like, hey, this place is really fun, and you look around, and it's because there's not one type of person there. There's several types of people there, and people who live and play and work and raise their children in a community that's very dynamic, that has lots of different types of people, do really well. And those communities that are singular-minded, that have one type of person, one socioeconomic type of group, all living together, it's one of the most boring places you could go. You go all over the South, all over Florida, southern Florida, some of the, even some in Phoenix and in California, Phoenix, Arizona, and some out in California. You see these communities that are gated communities where wealthy people have holed themselves up into areas, and those places are empty, they're failing. And you go to a place like Ann Arbor and you see all these different types of people, young and old, rich and poor, technical and professional, and they're all hanging out together, they're enjoying each other, they're listening to music. The waitress who's waiting on the table lives on a house that's up above, or lives in an apartment that's above the retail area, and the attorney who represents her restaurant is living above a storefront just down the street. So that whole idea needed to be defined. And why does that work? Why do those ancient communities like in Rome and Paris, why does that work? Why does Chicago work? Why does Brooklyn, New York work? And why is Detroit failing miserably? And that's one of the things that we've studied here in Detroit, is that Detroit is relying totally on the automobile, the singular vehicle, the selfish mode of transportation where nobody talks to each other, and they sit in a car all day and they wait for their turn to leave where they work, and their working environment and their play environment and their living environment are totally different. And that's why Detroit's not working and Chicago is working. So I was enlisted to work on this project on the coast of Georgia, and using a lot of the things I learned from Notre Dame, from Texas Instruments, and from Walbridge Aldringer as a construction manager. We started planning this island community. This island community is a mixed use, mixed socioeconomic, and it has a circulator that has low carbon and almost zero, very low energy mass transit system that loops around this entire island. And in doing that, it required a technology that really at some given point did not exist. See, a lot of the times when you see some of these older trolley systems, you see these overhead catenary lines that are electrical wires that hang down and completely obscure a lot of the buildings, and they cause a problem if they break, if lightning strikes, if a tree falls on them. There's a problem. Now see, this here is the mainland. This is the mainland in Georgia along the coast. There's a canal here that's navigable. This is a very high density area here, larger retail, kind of like a sports complex, tennis courts above here. The canal, now as you go over the canal, there's housing along the perimeter of these areas, but the densities in here are high. We have in this area here, this would be similar to what you'd see in the large urban areas. We have retail on the first floor with storefronts and coffee houses and things like that. Second floor would be offices for accounting and attorneys and dentist office. Third, fourth, and fifth floor would be residential. So people are living and working in these same communities. This red line here shows this trolley system that would circulate around the island at low speed, about 17 miles an hour. Anybody approaches the track, these systems have sensors that make the trolley stop, let them board and get on and off the trolley at any point on this 3-mile loop. So that's one of the things that we've been working on. Now, it required a self-contained vehicle that we worked with a builder and a designer and another entrepreneur type in England, in Birmingham, England. And this gentleman's name was John Perry. This system has a large flywheel the size of a, I don't know, it's probably about 4 feet across. This big, large donut that weighs about 1,500 pounds, and this donut swings, or it spins at 1,500 rounds per minute. And what that does is it stores energy inside the equipment. So anytime you use your brakes or you come up to a hill, the transmission on this system engages that wheel and keeps it spinning at high speed. So at any given time, when you need to start and stop, they just engage that flywheel, and the transmission captures the energy from that flywheel. Now, this has a 4-cylinder Ford pickup truck engine in it, a 4-cylinder, probably one of the smaller engines that Ford makes, and every once in a while that engine has to engage to keep the RPMs up on that flywheel. Now, that flywheel system, again, the engine can run on propane, it can run on electricity if we wanted to put electric motor on it, but what it does is there's no overhead wires that obscure it. There's no danger of electrocution if some truck with a large piece of equipment goes across it and touches those catenary lines. So this is something that's kind of a new development that we're working on and trying to encourage the American population to use this type of system. Again, this is another opportunity for people who are different from each other to get together, to go from point A to point B, get to know each other, and not sitting in a vehicle, in a car, a separate car, where they don't have any dialogue or any contact with anybody else. So we think this is really going to take off. This product is actually being used in North Africa and some of and they're trying to introduce it in Haiti and get some of this kind of a mass transit system involved in the rebuilding of Haiti, and some other South American countries were also trying to introduce this. Now, this vehicle will also drop into any American type of rail system. A lot of our older cities in the United States have rail systems all over the place that are abandoned. This piece can just drop right on them without any particular upgrade or utilities or anything else that need to be brought in there. The rails themselves are probably 150 years old some places, but they don't wear out, and this system will allow them to keep working. Again, as you see, this is a more traditional style. This is a new urban project in Florida. You can kind of see in the background, see the residential's up on the 3rd and 4th floor. First floor, if you see down here, there's offices, commercial areas here, restaurants. You see offices like 2nd or 3rd floor, and then as you go up, you see residential areas here. Now, all these people are from different backgrounds, but that's one of the reasons why this is going to work, and one of the reasons why we think that that's the direction that we should go as we redevelop areas throughout the country. That we think this new approach to come in and convert some of these warehouses to areas where we create these small neighborhoods that sort of click in and start to work with each other.